As someone who likes to write stories, I think the controversy over Chapter 5's ending is very saddening. It all boils down to one statement or idea. We assumed Chapter 5 was the finale, and since it wasn't, Mob Entertainment is dragging out the series for money. The fact that the original script ended at Chapter 5 practically confirms it, and I think that is pretty weak. Now, is Chapter 5's ending free from criticism? Absolutely not. I'm still not sure how I feel about the Doctor's return. Can people complain that the story is feeling like it's being dragged out? Absolutely. But to make a baseless accusation about the development and say the story should have ended here before we even know what the ending is, both original and new, infuriates me as a writer. So I'm going to explain why the accusation of the series being dragged out is, with the information we have, a pretty weak accusation, and why the series going on to a Chapter 6 is going to be an extremely great thing. All the footage in this video is not mine, and all credit for it goes to Mob Entertainment and the Gaming Archivist. Looking at the first hat for the statement from before, we assumed Chapter 5 was the finale, and since it wasn't, Mob Entertainment is dragging out the series for money. Nowhere in any of the advertising was it stated that Chapter 5 was the end. Now, I've heard some people say that it's being dragged out to milk out every little bit of money out of Mob Entertainment's cash cow, when chances are it's not. We have reason to be concerned that Mob Entertainment might drag out the story for too long, but we shouldn't go around saying that Mob Entertainment is doing it purposely for more money. The story might just need more breathing room for the writers to finish the story the way they want without it feeling rushed. While writing this script, Examinations provided the only good piece of evidence of Mob Entertainment being greedy that is hard to argue. Examinations stated they left because the company seemed to care more about the profits than the art. I do still believe that the artists and the developers truly care about the game and their work, based on the way they talk online and share what they did. I still wholeheartedly believe that the writers made the decision to split Chapter 5 into two strictly to help finish the story, and that's where the second part of the community's argument comes into play. The fact that the original script ended at Chapter 5 practically confirms it. This fuel for the fire that people try to use as evidence comes from these tweets as part of a Q&A from the director for Chapters 1 to 3 and the person who wrote the original story, Isaac Christopherson. According to him, the final Chapter 5 is very different from the Chapter 5 he originally conceptualized, and that in his original plan, it was the final chapter. He also adds that the original ending is still possible, but very unlikely with some changes. Some have said Mob Entertainment and the new writers must have ruined Isaac's original story. Well, no. And as a writer, I believe that this idea doesn't hold merit with the information people are using to back it up. Revising a story is inevitable. Ideas the writer had might not work as well as they thought they would, or sometimes the writers need to add something to make things work better. And sometimes they need to rewrite the entire thing. I'm writing an MCTV series called Core. Teaser trailer and canon short film are linked in the description, and the story has developed significantly from my initial concept. The ending for the entire series has had 3 major rewrites, and I haven't typed or written a single word down. It's all in my head. When I eventually get to outlining and then writing the script for Season 3, it will probably change even more from my original ending. This isn't that different from the information Isaac gave. Isaac explicitly states the current writers only got a general outline for the chapter's plot that was written early in development. The writers had to take this outline and turn it into a full-fledged script without his insight, which he also says is a challenging thing. He states that sometimes it's best to bring in new writers with new ideas. The community keeps saying that this means the new writers ruined the original story, and maybe they did, but we don't even know what the original story is. When we consider the lack of sufficient information for a detailed comparison between the original idea and the final product, the criticism that Mob Entertainment ruined Isaac's original story by having it changed and not ending it how he planned crumbles. To add on to that, it's possible the plot for this chapter just got too big to fit into one chapter, which led to the writers making the decision to split the chapter into 2 parts. Members of the community seem to recall that when asked during Chapter 3's development, a developer stated the game would have either 5 or 6 chapters. So around the time Isaac left, a 6th chapter was on the table. And in a recent interview, it was revealed that the developers extensively discussed whether to end the game on Chapter 5 in the year before its release. The writers made a creative decision to help with pacing and narrative, something that if they didn't do, might have led to a criticism about a rushed conclusion. The Chapter 5 we got has set up the prototype as the unstoppable force, while simultaneously setting up a way to defeat him. Because stories evolve, and writers must make such choices. I wouldn't be surprised if the story would have reached a similar point if Isaac had stayed. So I don't believe Mob Entertainment is dragging out the story only for profit. They have spin-offs and merch to do that. But the writers made a creative decision for the betterment of the story they want to tell. this game's story should still wrap it up soon, and if Chapter 6 isn't the end, which I doubt will be the case, I will agree that the series is going on too long. I also want to say to the people in charge of mob entertainment, care more about the art form, you will get a better profits and a better view in the eyes of your audience. I personally agree with the decision not to end on Chapter 5, and instead ended on Chapter 6. Hopefully, if given the time for the artists involved to work out their passion, I will be proven right.